Welcome back, guys. It's Instant Mizaki, and in this video, we're going to cover 5 fates in Gundam that are worse than death. And I did this one based off of the views that I got on that video that said top 5 ways to go in Gundam, because you guys really liked that one. So I just said, let's find another messed up video that we can do for Gundam fans. So let's get started. Alright, coming in at number 5, though I never actually got to see this series, which makes it even better because it's research that I have to do, and it's a brand new and fresh experience for me. It's Gundam Narrative, and we have Rita Bernal. And the reason why I picked her is because she suffers with what I would call the Full Metal Alchemist syndrome or effect, where your spirit, soul, consciousness, being, whatever you would determine it or call it, is trapped in a hunk of metal, machine, whatever, and you can't eat, you can't drink, you can't feel pain for the most part. And I mean, like in the casual common sense, you can't do anything that a normal human can do. And you're basically conscious of everything that's going on around you. You're trapped in the Phoenix unit, and basically you died from being experimented on so much until your soul or being was trapped in the machine, like that ghost in the machine basically. And what makes it sad is you're basically wandering through space in a consistent war zone. You don't age, you don't die unless the actual machine is destroyed, which again, that's still questionable too, because does your soul actually get rest when the physical being is dead, depending on how you depart from it? And that's a scary and very terrifying thought when you consider her fate. Rita basically is trapped in a nightmare that will never end, and I think that is one of the worst fates to ever endure in a series, regardless of if it's Gundam or Yu-Gi-Oh, where you're trapped in a shadow game, or even Digimon Tamers, where you're basically controlled by the Mega Virus. I think that's what it's called, the Mega Virus or something. But it's been so long since I've seen that because I was a kid when that came out. But needless to say, yeah, that is a very unsavory fate. All right, next up, we have Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt, and the person that I'm picking for this one is obviously Daryl, because not only did he volunteer to go through with the Psycho Zaku project, I think that's what it was called, but basically he had to amputate all 4 of his limbs, which left him a oh gosh, I'm not gonna even make a joke like that. But basically, he doesn't have his arms, he doesn't have his legs, and he has to have basically prosthetics implanted, which leaves him with phantom pains, because when he pilots the Psycho Zaku, it reacts to a certain nerve system in order to react and move to the pilot's responses and motions and things like that. And excuse me if I'm mixing up my words right now, but it's been so long since I've seen even Thunderbolt. But just the idea of basically becoming the equivalent of a Strog from Quake 4, that whole amputation process and being rebuilt as a cybernetic warrior is so mind-boggling and terrifying, no matter which series you put it in, because the idea of having your flesh being taken from you and used for the purpose of another being's power is very terrifying. Like even the Borg from Star Trek, if you think about it, being repurposed, it's just that idea. And for Daryl, it's like you thought you were doing it for the greater good of your fellow troops and soldiers, but realistically you were nothing but a gear for the higher ups and leaders of Zeon, and a puppet basically. And that's one of the worst fates that I can think of in general, because outside of the body horror, it's the idea that you're nothing more than a puppet for a machine that after it's built, it becomes a second afterthought for newer models. At number 3, I'm going with Victory Gundam. I was going to go with Katagina Luz, but I just said, how about the population of Earth and anyone that fell under the influence of the Angel Halo? That was my number 3 pick. Being regressed to the state of an infant, not being able to take care of yourself. You're basically a vegetable. And looking at how that ends a era, especially from the UC timeline, that was really traumatic and terrifying, because that's a fate really worse than death, where you're basically waiting to die because you can't function as a functioning adult, and you're basically a toddler who, for lack of better words, is useless. And the only few people that are still alive are younger than you, and they're barely old enough to take care of themselves. So in a general populace, being regressed to a mindless baby is way worse than dying, because at least with death you don't feel anything. I mean, you're gonna feel something regardless, but I mean after the fact, post mortem, you know. Whereas being alive and being a total baby, literally and figuratively, is pretty freaking terrifying if you think about it. The whole world basically ends regardless. And in the back of my mind, I technically say that Zeon in the long run still won the war, because at the very end, the Federation still fell through. Earth was completely ravaged and basically uninhabitable, and most of the people living in space were influenced by space politics for the most part, after the Federation basically flunked out with the main population of the UC timeline throughout the years of the wars. So needless to say, that whole ending for Victory Gundam really set a precedence from the beginning with the 1 Year War all the way back to the Zanskar Empire's conclusion, and leaving the world devastated as it does and is pretty brutal. Now, at number 2, we have from Mobile Fighter G Gundam, Kyoji Kyashu. I may have pronounced that last name wrong, Kyashu. But basically, being a biological battery for the Devil Gundam and its malevolent purpose for the Earth. You're being fed upon while you're awake, and you basically can do nothing but be a puppet, a battery, and a food and life source for the Devil Gundam. And even if you were replaced, it's the fact that you can be replaced even if you are a primary source of energy for the Devil Gundam. Because regardless, you are just a gear or a source that can be recreated through another means. And it's kind of like looking at how Emperor Palpatine was using Darth Vader. Like, as powerful as Darth Vader was and strong as he was, after Darth Vader was overpowered by Luke, there was a new power source to be obtained and sought after, which left Vader in a stagnant goalpost. And that's kind of the same thing with Kyoji. Like, he was the ultimate power source for the Devil Gundam, but eventually someone stronger did come along, which was his younger brother. Another scary thing about it is the DG cells basically take over and mutate your body, and it's like I said, you're conscious while all of this is happening, while the destruction is going on around you. It clones you, and your clone basically is suffering openly while you, the cellular biological host, is suffering in silence and sees what's going on but can do nothing to stop it. And I think that's a very horrifying and terrible way to go, because again, being hijacked by a system is terrifying. And it's along the lines of the Matrix, how the Matrix, well, I know the Matrix came out after this, but it's still the idea that you are used as a power source and a battery for the destruction of your own kind. And like I said, the only person that was able to defeat and stop the reign was his younger brother, Domon Kashu. And that is the only way his agony was put to rest. And sadly so, you know, that it's a bittersweet way to go, because the only way for you to stop being destructive is to be destroyed yourself. Now, as an honorable mention, I'm going to go with Andrew Waltfeld from Gundam Seed, losing your lover and partial function of your body after being defeated, and also becoming a third wheel. That's all in one. That's just a very way worse fate than death, in my opinion, because not only did you lose the one person that you really genuinely cared for, but the next person that you kind of trauma bonded with gets reintroduced to her old lover, and then you're basically on the sideline sipping coffee brews again, doing nothing but pretending that you're okay with the fact that you just got friend zoned. That's a worse death than fate, in my opinion. All right, guys, now coming in at number 1, from Iron-Blooded Orphans, we have Ein Dalton, and basically being turned into a brain and I guess a processor for a mobile suit or mobile suits, depending on if you want to go with all the forms of Ein in the show. But just speaking on his first mutilated form, like the Ein, Gray's Ein, I think that's what it's called, is a very horrible and unsavory fate, worse than death. Basically being put in a jar, like a brain in a jar or a brain in a computer, kind of like Dr. Wheelo from The World's Strongest, Dragon Ball Z movie 2. So yeah, that's a terrible fate, to be basically mutilated, lobotomized, and reduced to a processor for a mobile suit, and being basically a tool for higher ups who never gave a damn about your existence or life to begin with, and you're more valuable to them as a mobile suit weapon, again, which is a common theme in the Gundam series and franchises alike. It's pretty sad and very brutal. So basically, in this order, he was put into the Gray's Ein, which was his first rendition of his mutilation. And then after that was destroyed, he was then taken and used as a neural processor. His brain was put into a Gundam, which was very difficult and sad for not only just the people that had to pilot the mobile suit, but for that person, for Ein himself, because now you're a living, I guess you would say an undead battery for a Gundam, and even its upgraded system. So yeah, Ein has basically the worst fate ever when it comes to not being dead, and a fate worse than death, to be honest, in my opinion. But I guess I'm just stretching that, because there are pretty much more deaths or non-deaths you could go for in these videos, but this was just something I wanted to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment on fates that you think were worse than death in Gundam, and I might even go back and make another video, part 2, based off of the comments. And also leave comments on what else you would like to see for the Gundam analyzations and series, and even other mecha or anime series on this channel. Like, I can expand. So thanks again. Comment, like, and subscribe, and let's keep it going. Ensign Nazaki out.